everybody. This is Brandon Ford, and welcome to another TV edition of the Blind Rage podcast. This is another Tales from the Crypt, and of course, another one of my absolute favorites, House of Horror, starring a slew of young talent who was very popular and famous and worked pretty steadily at the time. I think, while I don't think that this is one of the absolute best episodes, it is, again, one of my favorites, but I think it has probably one of the best casts of all of the episodes because there are so many familiar faces. And it deals with fraternity initiations, one of my favorite subjects for horror films. So, yeah, and this one's a lot of fun. So, as always, I got to get the plugs out of the way. Please don't forget to go to Amazon.com and check out my books in paperback and Kindle editions by going to the Amazon search bar, typing in Brandon Ford. You'll find my titles as well as my author page. You could also find me on Audible by opening the Audible app or going to audible.com, typing in Brandon Ford. I have a bunch of audiobooks there. And you can follow me on Instagram at writer Brandon Ford. And lastly, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, critiques, recommendations, or episodes of Tales from the Crypt that you would like me to do commentaries for, please feel free to email me directly at blindragepod81@gmail.com. I know you guys like when I do these Tales from the Crypt episodes, and I'm sure you have some of your own favorites that you'd like me to do, so yeah, don't be shy. Send me a message on Instagram too if you'd like, or reply to one of the posts regarding the episode, or the latest episode, or whichever episode. Alright, so yeah, so I'm sure you can find this one anywhere on Vimeo, YouTube, they're all also available on Amazon. I don't know if you have to pay for them though, but yeah, I'm using the DVD, so if you want to watch along, feel free. If not, just listen to my commentary. So we are going to begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Yeah, like I said, this has one of the best casts of all of the episodes. We have Kevin Dillon. Well, I know, not a great actor, but a very familiar face. And we have Brian Krause. We have Keith Coogan. We have Jason London. Who else is in this one? Meredith Salinger. Courtney Gaines from Children of the Corn. Outlander. There's a bunch of people in this one. And Will Wheaton, of course. Will Wheaton we have. Or Will Wheaton. Interestingly enough, I was just watching a movie with him last night called Rent-A-Pal. That was pretty good, but it was also very unnerving and depressing. So yeah, check that one out at your own risk. And yeah, this Tales from the Crypt is owned, I believe, by Warner Brothers, or they own the distribution rights. I don't know. And I think that a lot of, or some of the episodes were filmed on the Warner Brothers lot. And I remember when I first saw this episode, when it first aired, because I was a devotee of Tales from the Crypt, and I used to watch it every week, and I used to look forward to every single episode until they went across the pond and did season 7, which is the worst season of all. Nothing against the English. I love the English. I love the Brits, but yeah, season 7 is bad. Um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I noticed immediately the first time I saw this episode that the house, the big house known as Coffer House, is the same house that is used in Nothing But Trouble, the big house in Valkenvania, where the judge, I don't know, the judge resides, which makes sense because that was a Warner Brothers movie as well. But for years, I thought that I was the only one in the world who noticed that because I never heard anybody mention it, and I've met fans of both the movie as well as the show, and I figured somebody would have noticed it. But but I when I checked the IMDb page trivia section for this particular episode, it did have it listed, so somebody else did notice it. It's a very, very distinctive house. It's a very large house, and you could tell right away by looking at it from the outside, even during the night. And it's even it's the same interior. I'm pretty sure.
As a direct result of my own sins of worthlessness and incompetence, sir. Waters, Henderson, this don't concern you. Get back to work before I paddle your asses.
Paddling. It's very
Pledge. Clean it up before I make you use your tongue. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
paddling is very was very prominent in fraternity hazing. And I have to say, for a fraternity house, this is very, very basic. I mean, fraternity houses are usually pretty big, and they offer, like, hot tubs and shit, tennis court, basketball court, things that you can't get at the dorms. And they also have to have members who are among the college elite students that you want to be surrounded by. And all you have is douchebag Kevin Dillon and a couple of other chodes. So what I don't understand is why Will Wheaton's character, Keith Coogan's character, Jason London, I think those are the only pledges, are walking around on their hands and knees in their underwear and nothing else, and kissing the shit stained soles of Kevin Dillon's sneakers. Just to be a part of this mess.
Remember, kiddies, tonight's your test of courage. It'll make or break you.
I think Jason London comes across as pretty spastic in this episode.
You know, I'm thinking I'd like to break him.
Here,
Break his neck. Wait for him one night behind the door. He comes in. Blam! Crack him in the head with the baseball bat.
crack him in the head with a baseball bat.
Not bad. I'd use a shovel. Or an axe.
Or a chainsaw.
This all done with. The only thing that's keeping me going. Pledges! Don't make a brother.
I don't know if is that Jason London or is that Jeremy? I think it's Jason. It was Jason when I looked at the IMDb page. There's Meredith Salinger, who was known primarily for Dream a Little Dream. I don't know if she went on to do many more
Welcome to Canada.
roles in prominent films. I know she's very, very smart. I'm pretty sure she went back to school. I think she went to Harvard. So, what she's doing now, I have no idea. There's Brian Krause doing a Texas accent, or attempting to.
Just opened a chapter on campus, and we'd like to affiliate with the fraternity.
Brian was another familiar face. All of these guys were familiar from the early '90s, but Brian, I'm sure everybody knows from sleepwalkers.
We may consider an affiliation provided certain standards are.
Y'all want to be certain we're not some doghouse, right? Well,
This is one of the
how about
few
before y'all
roles that I've seen Brian Krause in where he actually is somewhat clean cut. And it's a good look for him because generally, everything I've seen him in, he has like long, shaggy kind of hair. It's not great. Looks much better with the short hair.
Unfortunately, tonight's our final pledge ritual in an off-campus locale. Oh, I'm Les Walton, pledge master. It's my job to make men of these boys.
Now, I always thought making men out of boys was a woman's job.
Well, perhaps you'd like to volunteer yourself.
I remember reading somewhere that Meredith Salinger said that she has been asked her entire life, as you would assume she would be, if she was related to J.D. Salinger, and I'm sure that got pretty old when she was at a very young age. But no, she's not, and they don't even spell their names the same way. She spells it Salenger. He is Linger.
If you're certain we won't be interfering, we'll be there.
She has something of a southern accent as well. I think, well, she's doing it for the character. I don't know if this is supposed to take place in actually take place in Texas or.
We'll make it, sir. Wilton's pushing you kind of hard. Like we said before, he's
And
then why do you let him do this?
one of the
About 6 years
other members,
came close to censorship on a cheating scandal.
one of the other members of the frat house, I don't remember his name, but he is another familiar face from this time. He was the bully, Matt, his name was, in Encino Man, and he was one of Wayne's friends in Wayne's World. I know he was for sure in the famous Bohemian Rhapsody scene, the headbanging scene of the Mirthmobile. I don't remember his name.
When the Alpha Sigma Sigma frat house burned down, the mayor, who had been a member, swindled the copper out of his own house.
I do remember when I watched this episode questioning myself, the first time that is, questioning myself if it really was the Valkenvania house, because at the end of the movie, at the end of Nothing But Trouble, the house crumbles. Or it appears as such. And Nothing But Trouble was 2 years before this. This was 93, 91, Nothing But Trouble came out. I don't know if I said this already, but yeah, I am a fan of that movie. That was a huge, huge flop. And does not have much of a fan base, but I think it's a really fun movie with a great cast. I mean, how could you not love a movie with John Candy and Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase, even though he is a complete tool, and Demi Moore? Another great cast.
So here's the deal, pledges. You each have a flashlight. You can all see that row of windows there. You go in, run up to the second floor window. Flash your light 3 times. Climb the ladder to the attic. Flash 3 times in the attic window. You wait there till I call you back down. You make it, you're in.
So that is their initiation.
It's haunted, and Mr. Axe Murderer's ghost doesn't like visitors. Anderson, you're first.
So
See you boys in the attic.
Good luck, boys. All of us sisters are counting on you. We just love fraternity men.
there, one of the or the main reason they, because there's a dismembered arm that goes flying out the window, and they think it's a prop, and until they look at it closely and see that on the hand is a pledge ring. I didn't know that pledges got rings. There's so much about university hazings or Greek, fraternity hazings I don't know anything about. So the whole thing that that's him right there. That's him from Wayne's World and Encino Man. But yeah, so the only real thing that Les Wilton, played by Kevin Dillon, he had set up to scare the pledges was some sound effects and strawberry jelly smeared on the banister. I think it's a mask. Or that was a dummy. I don't know what that was. I don't remember. But little do they know,
It's supposed to be the ghost of an axe murderer, not a chainsaw massacre. Artistic license. Just shit can that fax box.
okay, so that was not a chainsaw, a chainsaw sound effect.
Jesus, that sounded like Henderson. Nah, they just got the place wired for sound. We'll see me in the attic later.
That was not. As we'll find out later. But if it wasn't, how was he able to cut it so quickly?
I thought I told him to bag that chainsaw.
I like the line though. It's supposed to be the ghost of an axe murderer, not a chainsaw massacre.
Guess he just ain't Gamma Delta material. Waters? Let's see if you're worthy. Move your ass.
Show him, Tiger.
I think that had the because the whole point of the girls being there from the sorority is they were looking, for they were looking for a brother or sister fraternity. I don't know what you call what the sorority, what it's called. I think they just call it a sister fraternity or sister sorority. I don't know. But yeah, so they were there to witness the initiation, and I think that because there's so many fucking people in this episode, there's so many characters, but Meredith Salinger really is the only female character with any who is much of a prominent character, and I mean, while one or two of the other girls have lines, they're really not important roles. Well, I guess that depends on how you look at it, but so I think that had the other girls in the sorority, here's the arm. Had some of the other girls in the sorority had more lines and and their roles had been more prominent, maybe they would have been played by more notable actresses of the time or more recognizable actresses of the time. But I don't know who any of these girls are, except for Meredith. So you keep getting hints that something's wrong. First you had the chainsaw, and then you had two sounds at once, and he said you can't do that. So something is amiss. Defunct. I love how he's like, he's supposed to be this fucking pledge master at a fraternity house, and in order to get pledges to do his bidding, he's doing the bok, 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 bok. Like, what grade are you in? Is this fucking grammar school?
If you win, but you won't. I'm sure that young man will rise to the occasion.
Will rise to the occasion. Yeah, she's got kind of a Tennessee Williams character thing going on here.
Great arm gag sparks. I didn't do it. Thought you did. Hey, we gotta fry this little twerp or it's gonna cost me a C-note. Fry.
I think they should have had. It would have been even more interesting. Well, because he's not a big. He's also not a big. Doesn't have a big role. But the D.D. DeWitt character, it would have been. It would have been cool if he would have been played by another recognizable face from this time. Maybe one of the Feldmans. But Corey Feldman does come back. Does appear in one of the later episodes. I think it's in this season, actually. Or maybe the season before. I don't know. There's so many fucking episodes. And so many actors.
This isn't funny, guys.
Oh, God. I can't believe you just said that. Anybody who's listened to my commentaries regularly knows that is a line that I have zero patience or tolerance for, especially in horror. This isn't funny, guys.
Good look, asshole. Just a dummy with a stupid mask we rigged. Did I call this or what? We're talking wall of shame here, guys.
Uh-oh.
Gutless Wonder, 1993. No! It wasn't a dummy, it was a ghost. It was upstairs, I saw it! Bullshit. The whole thing's bullshit, including the legend. Pledge Master secret. The whole thing was made up years ago and printed in the school paper so pledges could research it for initiations. It never happened. There's no coffer, there never was. It's just a list. You owe me $100. And it's buying me a day with Mona. She likes men, not whips.
Mm.
All right, well, call down the rest of the pledges so we can hit the trail.
Orders! Henderson! This is the grand and glorious Pledge Master here.
Brian Krause is going to say,
Weren't you supposed to go up to the attic and bring him down yourself? Wasn't that the deal?
some of the dialogue here is pretty funny.
I go up there, those two jump me. You had
But
your bullshit on me. Now this Wilton. What's the matter, Wilton? You afraid of getting bushwhacked by a couple of tweet pledges?
yeah, you're afraid of getting bushwhacked by a couple of dweeb pledges.
I thought you were a man.
Of course I can take him. What's this?
But Brian Krause says tells Les to go up there to get the pledges down so that they can all vamoose. And I remember vamoose was one of my vocabulary words around that time.
Come with me, I don't remember how we rigged everything up here. Hey, you're on your own. Me, I'm afraid of ghosts. I'll tell you what, I'll go first and you guys follow right behind me. Us brothers gotta stick together, right?
Turnabout's fair play.
There's a difference between being
There's DD DeWitt. I don't like the initials DD for a man.
All a shame. I guess I proved that you're not gamma delta material either.
And we find out what really happened.
Those other pledges? I put a note on the attic door telling them not to signal or do anything until they heard the password, happy birthday. And I signed the note, Les Wilton. Nobody does that to me!
That was totally 80 yard.
Boner! Wait! I won! You owe me a date! Alright, Wilton, call down the rest of the pledges so we can all vamoose.
There it is. Vamoose.
Do it! Waters, Henderson, happy birthday. Now get down here. Did you hear me? I said happy birthday, now move! Hey, maybe they are gonna jump you. Go up and get him, Wilton. Go get him or we're expelling your ass.
Why don't they fucking just expel him anyway? I mean, he's such a tool. Clearly, nobody likes him. Uh-oh, here's another twist.
What arm? This arm. Hey, no, it ain't mine. Oh my God, that's a pledge ring. It's Henderson. Good Lord.
Oh, no.
Henderson, I'm gonna revolt your asses, please. Waters. Henderson.
Now we're about to get to the final twist.
Welcome to Delta Omega Alpha Pledge Night. We just love fraternity boys. You see, DOA is an all-girls sorority.
Oh. DOA. That's a good one.
To become Delta Omega material now.
Dinner.
See, Les? You get your dinner date after all. And I'm just so famished for a man.
Remember pledges. Eat every bite or you'll end up on the wall of shame.
Here goes the head. Very silent night, deadly night. See, this one is more in line of fun. This was a lot of fun, this one, I think. It's not as serious or as deep or as layered as an episode like Three's a Crowd or Ease'll Kill Ya. But this is a good one.
I see we've reached a verdict. Members of the Gory, do you deem the defendant guilty or not guilty? What do you know? A hung jury.
Okay, so that was Tales from the Crypt, House of Horror. As always, thank you for staying with me until the bitter end. I really appreciate you guys listening. And until next time, this is Brandon Ford wishing you all unpleasant dreams.